Billionaire saw single mom return her son's baby formula. His next move brought everyone to tears. It was late evening at a nearly empty supermarket, the kind of hour when the world feels heavy and still. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh white light across rows of products that promised solutions to problems Maya didn't even have the luxury of worrying about. She'd been walking the aisles for almost 40 minutes now, her 6-month-old son Noah strapped to her chest in a worn baby carrier, his small body pressed against hers as he whimpered with that particular cry that meant he was hungry and tired and didn't understand why his mother couldn't make it better. Maya's hands trembled as she placed items on the checkout belt: a can of generic baby formula, a small package of diapers, the cheapest brand, a loaf of white bread, a jar of peanut butter. She'd already walked the store 3 times, putting things back, recalculating in her head, trying to make the numbers work. $27.36. That's what she had. She'd counted it 5 times before leaving her apartment, spreading the bills and coins across her kitchen counter like they might multiply if she arranged them correctly. The cashier, a tired-looking woman in her 50s with kind eyes, began scanning items. The beep of the register seemed impossibly loud in the quiet store. Maya watched the numbers climb on the display screen, her heart sinking with each beep. $23, $28, $32, $35.47. She was short. $8.11 short. Maya's eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. Not here. Not in front of strangers. She'd already cried enough today. In her apartment bathroom with the water running so Noah wouldn't hear, in her car before coming into the store, into her pillow every night, for the past 3 months since she'd lost her job, and her whole life had fallen apart. "I'm sorry," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I miscalculated. I need to put something back." The cashier's expression softened with recognition. She'd seen this before, Maya realized, seen other mothers making these impossible choices. "Take your time, honey." Maya looked at the items on the belt. The diapers? No. She only had 2 left at home, and Noah went through 6 a day. The bread and peanut butter? She hadn't eaten a real meal in 2 days, but she could go longer. She'd gone longer before. But the formula, the $23 can of generic store-brand formula that Noah needed because Maya's body, stressed and malnourished, had stopped producing enough milk weeks ago. The formula he needed to survive. She picked up the can with shaking hands, held it against her chest for just a moment, like she was holding something precious, and then set it aside. "I'll return this." Behind her in line stood a man she hadn't noticed before. Tall, probably over 6 feet, dressed in jeans and a plain grey hoodie, a baseball cap pulled low over his face. To anyone looking, he was just another tired shopper picking up forgotten items before heading home. But Liam Carter was so much more than that. He was the CEO of Carter Enterprises, worth more money than most people would earn in 10 lifetimes. And in this moment, dressed down and unrecognized, he was watching a mother's heart break in real time. Before we continue, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. And if you're new here, hit subscribe, because Maya and Liam's story is about to prove that sometimes the person who saves you is the one who needs saving most. Liam had been standing there for less than 3 minutes, but he'd seen everything. Seen the way Maya's hands shook as she counted her money. Seen the careful calculation in her eyes as she decided what she could live without. Seen the moment she chose her son's hunger over her own. And something inside him, something that had been dead and cold for 3 years, cracked wide open. He knew this scene. He'd lived a version of it once, a lifetime ago when his wife Sarah was still alive. Before the money, before the empire, before everything turned to gold and then to ash. Sarah had been a single mother when they met, struggling to raise her daughter from a previous relationship, working 3 jobs and still coming up short. Liam remembered finding her once, crying in the grocery store parking lot because she'd had to choose between diapers and dinner. He'd been 26 years old and barely making rent himself, but he'd given her everything in his wallet and told her it would get better. And it had. They'd built a life together. He'd loved her daughter like his own. They'd gotten married, gotten pregnant, planned a future that felt solid and real and permanent. Then Sarah died during childbirth, and their daughter Emma lived for just 4 hours before her tiny heart gave out. And Liam had spent the last 3 years building walls so high and thick that nothing could get in. No pain, no joy, no connection, just work. Just the relentless pursuit of more money, more success, more of anything that might fill the void where his family used to be. Until now, until this moment, watching this stranger with her hungry baby make an impossible choice and feeling something again for the first time since he'd buried everything that mattered. He stepped forward before his brain could talk him out of it. "Excuse me." His voice was quiet but firm. Maya turned, her face flushed with embarrassment at being caught in this moment of private devastation. "I'm almost done, I'm so sorry." "No, Liam looked at the cashier, then back at Maya. "The formula, and everything else in her cart. I'm paying for it." The words hung in the air for a moment, and Maya stared at him like he'd spoken a foreign language. "What? No, I can't let you. It's already done." Liam pulled out his credit card and handed it to the cashier before Maya could protest further. "Please, ring it all up." The cashier looked between them, uncertain, then at Maya's desperate face and began scanning items again. Maya stood frozen, Noah whimpering against her chest, tears now flowing freely down her cheeks. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Why would you do this?" Liam looked at her, really looked at her, and saw everything he'd lost reflected back. The exhaustion, the fear, the fierce, desperate love for a child that made you willing to sacrifice anything, everything, even your own survival. "A mother should never have to choose between love and money," he said quietly. "The total came to $35.47, Liam added, "and give her an extra 100 in cash back." "Sir, I really can't," Maya started, but he held up a hand. "You can, you will, because everyone needs help sometimes, and there's no shame in accepting it." The transaction went through. The cashier bagged the items carefully, including the formula Maya had been about to return. She added the cash to the bag discreetly. Liam helped load everything into Maya's cart, his movements careful and deliberate. "I don't even know your name," Maya said, her voice breaking. "How do I thank you? How do I pay you back?" "You don't owe me anything." Liam looked down at Noah, whose crying had quieted to soft hiccups. Something painful twisted in his chest. "How old is he?" 6 months. His name is Noah." 6 months. Emma would have been 2 years and 10 months old by now. She would have been walking, talking, probably demanding stories before bed, and refusing to eat vegetables. She would have had Sarah's eyes and maybe his stubborn chin. She would have been everything. "He's beautiful," Liam managed, his throat tight. "Take care of him." He turned to walk away before the grief could overwhelm him, before this stranger could see how broken he really was beneath the expensive clothes and the careful control. "Wait," Maya called after him. "At least tell me your name, please." Liam paused, looked back at her one more time. This woman with fire in her eyes despite the tears, with strength in her shoulders despite how close she was to collapse. "It doesn't matter. Just take care of yourself and that baby. That's all that matters." And then he was gone, disappearing into the parking lot before Maya could say anything else, leaving her standing at the checkout counter with a cart full of groceries and 100 questions she'd never get to ask. The cashier smiled at her gently. "Some people are angels, honey. Don't question it. Just say thank you and move forward. Has not done a visit." Maya nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She loaded her groceries into her car in a daze, buckled Noah into his car seat, and sat behind the wheel for a long moment just breathing, trying to process what had just happened. A stranger had saved her tonight, had seen her at her lowest moment and chosen kindness instead of judgment, had given her enough to feed Noah and herself for at least a week, maybe 2 if she was careful. She cried the whole way home, but for the first time in months, they weren't tears of despair. They were tears of relief, of gratitude, of the overwhelming emotion that comes when you realize you're not as alone as you thought you were. At home in her tiny 1-bedroom apartment, Maya fed Noah his bottle, watching his small hands grip the plastic as he drank with the desperate hunger of a baby who'd been crying for hours. She stroked his soft hair and whispered promises she hoped she could keep. "It's going to get better, baby. Mama's going to find a way. We're going to be okay." But as she looked around her apartment, at the second-hand furniture and the bills piled on the kitchen counter and the eviction notice stuck to her refrigerator, she wondered how many more miracles she'd need before that promise could come true. Maya's apartment was in a building that optimistic real estate agents called vintage and everyone else called falling apart. The rent was $800 a month, which was cheap by city standards, but might as well have been $8,000 for all the chance Maya had of paying it consistently. She'd moved here when she was 7 months pregnant, after her landlord at her previous place had refused to renew her lease once he found out she was having a baby alone. The apartment had seemed like a gift then. 1 bedroom, a cramped kitchen, a bathroom where the hot water only worked about half the time. But it was hers, and it was affordable, and it was close enough to the elementary school where she taught 2nd grade that she could have walked to work once her maternity leave ended. Except her maternity leave had never ended. Not really. Maya had thought she had it all figured out. She'd saved money, she'd made plans, she'd researched daycares and arranged for her mother to come help for the first few weeks. She'd prepared lesson plans in advance, so her substitute would have an easy time. She'd done everything right. Then, at 32 weeks pregnant, her blood pressure had spiked. Preeclampsia, the doctor had said, immediate bed rest. No work, no stress, complete rest until the baby came. Maya had called her principal, explained the situation, assumed everything would work out. Instead, she'd gotten an email 2 days later. The school district had found a permanent replacement for her position, something about budget cuts and restructuring and difficult choices. The subtext was clear. They couldn't afford to hold a position for a teacher who might have complications, who might need extended leave, who might not be able to give 100% to her students because she had a baby at home. Maya had lost her job, lost her health insurance, lost everything she'd carefully built over 5 years of teaching. And then Noah's father, Derek, had left. They hadn't been married, hadn't even been living together, but they'd been together for 2 years. Maya had thought they were solid. They'd talked about the future, about raising this baby together, about being a family. Derek had seemed excited about becoming a father, right up until the moment it became real and difficult and expensive. He'd left when Maya was 2 months pregnant, before she was even showing, just stopped returning her calls one day. Eventually, she'd gone to his apartment and found it cleaned out, a neighbor telling her he'd moved back to California for a job opportunity. He'd blocked her number, changed his email, disappeared completely. Maya had tried to track him down for child support, but Derek had apparently anticipated that. He'd quit his job, left no forwarding address, vanished so thoroughly that even the lawyer Maya had consulted for a free initial consultation said it would cost more to find him than she'd ever get in support payments. So Maya had been alone, pregnant, unemployed, and alone. She'd burned through her savings paying for prenatal care and rent. Her mother had come to help when Noah was born, but could only stay for 2 weeks before she had to get back to her own job 3 states away. Maya's father had died when she was in college, and she had no siblings, no close family nearby, just her and Noah against the world. For the first 3 months, she'd managed, barely. She'd applied for assistance programs, got approved for WIC and food stamps. She'd sold everything she owned that had any value. She'd taken on freelance work editing papers online, doing whatever she could from her laptop during Noah's naps. But it wasn't enough. It was never enough. And when Noah had started needing formula because Maya's milk supply couldn't keep up with his growing appetite, the careful balance she'd been maintaining had collapsed completely. Tonight had been the breaking point, the moment when she'd had to admit she couldn't do this alone anymore. And then a stranger had appeared and reminded her that sometimes, when you're at your lowest, the universe sends exactly what you need. Maya settled Noah in his crib, actually a dresser drawer lined with soft blankets because she couldn't afford a real crib. She watched him sleep for a long moment, his small chest rising and falling, his face finally peaceful after hours of crying. He was so beautiful, so perfect, so utterly dependent on her to keep him alive. "I won't let you down," she whispered. "I promise, baby. Mama's going to find a way." She went to her laptop and did what she'd been doing every night for 3 months. She searched job listings, applied to anything she was remotely qualified for, sent out resumes that mostly went into black holes. She'd applied to teaching positions, administrative jobs, retail, food service, anything. The responses were always the same, either silence or polite rejections or interviews that went well until the inevitable question, "Do you have reliable childcare arrangements?" Maya would hesitate, try to be honest, say she was working on it, and she'd see the interviewer's face close off, see the mental door slam shut. Single mother with an infant and no support system. Too risky, too complicated, too much potential for problems. Tonight, she sent out 15 more applications. One was for an executive assistant position at some company called Carter Enterprises. Maya had never heard of them, but the job description seemed reasonable and the salary was significantly more than she'd made teaching. She didn't expect anything to come of it, the same way she didn't expect anything to come of any of these applications. But she sent it anyway, because what else could she do? She was about to close her laptop when an email notification popped up, an automated response from one of the jobs she'd applied to earlier in the week. "Thank you for your interest. We've decided to pursue other candidates." Maya closed her laptop and put her head in her hands. She was so tired. Tired of fighting, tired of struggling, tired of being strong when all she wanted to do was collapse. The eviction notice on her refrigerator gave her 3 more days. After that, she and Noah would be homeless. She thought about the stranger from the grocery store, about his quiet kindness, the way he'd looked at Noah with such pain in his eyes, about how he disappeared before she could even properly thank him. "I hope you know you saved us tonight," she whispered into the empty apartment. "I hope wherever you are, you know you gave us another week to figure this out. Thank you." Miles away, in a penthouse apartment that occupied the entire top floor of the city's most expensive building, Liam Carter stood at the floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the glittering cityscape and seeing nothing. He couldn't stop thinking about the woman and her baby, about the way her hands had shaken, about the quiet dignity in her voice when she'd said she'd return the formula, about the fierce love in her eyes when she'd looked at her son. It had been 3 years, 2 months, and 17 days since Sarah and Emma died. Liam knew because he'd counted every single one of those days, watching them accumulate like debts he could never repay. He'd thrown himself into work with an intensity that bordered on obsession, building Carter Enterprises from a successful company into an empire. He'd doubled his net worth, tripled his holdings, acquired competitors, launched new ventures. None of it mattered. None of it filled the hole. His therapist, the one he'd seen exactly 3 times before deciding therapy was useless, had told him he was avoiding grief, that he needed to feel his feelings, process his loss, allow himself to be vulnerable. Liam had fired the therapist and hired a new one who just prescribed sleeping pills and didn't ask uncomfortable questions. But tonight, something had shifted. Seeing that woman, that mother fighting for her child with nothing but determination and love, had cracked something open in him. He'd felt something, actual emotion, actual connection, actual human feeling for the first time since the funeral. It had hurt. God, it had hurt so much. But it had also felt like being alive again, just for a moment. Liam's phone buzzed. His assistant, Catherine, even though it was almost 10 at night. Catherine was one of the few people who understood that Liam essentially lived at the office and didn't object to late-night messages. "The executive assistant applications you asked me to review. I've narrowed it down to 5 candidates. Interviews scheduled for next week." Liam had almost forgotten about that. His previous assistant had finally quit after 2 years of his impossible standards and emotional unavailability. He needed a replacement, someone competent and professional who wouldn't try to be his friend or ask about his personal life. "Send me the files," he typed back. Catherine's response was immediate. "Already in your email. But sir, if I may, one candidate stands out. Maya Reynolds. She's overqualified for the position, actually. 5 years teaching experience, excellent references, strong organizational skills. But she's been out of work for several months. I'm not sure why." Liam opened his email and clicked on the first file. Maya Reynolds. He scanned the resume, noting the employment gap, the teaching background, the carefully worded cover letter, that was professional but had an undercurrent of desperation. He clicked on the photo attached to her application, and his world stopped. It was her, the woman from the grocery store, the mother with the hungry baby and the trembling hands and the quiet strength that had broken through his walls. She'd applied to work for him. Liam stared at the photo for a long time, his mind racing. This was impossible. This was fate. This was the universe giving him a second chance at something, though he wasn't sure what. He could hire her, give her the job, the salary, the stability she so desperately needed. It would be easy. One email to Catherine, one decision, and he could change this woman's life. But would it be right? Would it be taking advantage? Would she feel obligated, indebted, uncomfortable? Or would it be exactly what both of them needed? Liam picked up his phone and called Catherine. The Maya Reynolds application. I want to interview her personally, tomorrow if possible. There was a pause on the other end. Catherine knew better than to ask questions, but her curiosity was evident. Yes, sir. I'll reach out first thing in the morning. No. Call her tonight. If she's desperate for work, she won't mind a late call. Offer her an interview for 10 a.m. tomorrow. Sir, it's almost 10 o'clock now. I know what time it is, Catherine. Make the call. After hanging up, Liam returned to the window, his reflection staring back at him in the dark glass. What was he doing? Why was this woman affecting him so much? Why couldn't he stop thinking about her? Because she reminded him of Sarah, obviously. Because she represented everything he'd lost. Because helping her felt like maybe, just maybe, he could redeem some small part of the past. Or maybe, a quiet voice in the back of his mind suggested, it was because for the first time in 3 years, he'd looked at someone and felt something other than emptiness. His phone buzzed again. Catherine. Mr. Carter, I just spoke with Miss Reynolds. She's available tomorrow at 10. She sounded very surprised and grateful. Good. Have her come to my office directly. I'll handle the interview myself. Sir, don't you think HR should... I'll handle it myself, Liam repeated, his voice allowing no argument. Yes, sir. I'll send her the details. Liam set down his phone and finally allowed himself a small smile. Tomorrow, he'd see her again. The woman who'd cracked open his frozen heart in a grocery store checkout line. The mother who'd chosen her son over herself without hesitation. The stranger who'd somehow become important to him in the span of 5 minutes. Tomorrow, he'd find out if the universe was giving him a chance to save someone the way Sarah had once saved him. Or if maybe, just maybe, this woman might save him right back. Maya's phone rang at 9:45, just as she'd gotten Noah down for the night and was preparing to spend another few hours sending out job applications and trying not to think about the eviction notice. She didn't recognize the number but answered anyway. These days, she answered every call, hoping it might be a job offer. Hello? Miss Reynolds? This is Catherine Chen from Carter Enterprises. I'm calling regarding your application for the executive assistant position. 5C. Maya's heart jumped into her throat. Yes, hello. Thank you for calling. I know it's late, and I apologize for that. But Mr. Carter would like to interview you tomorrow if you're available. Would 10 a.m. work? Tomorrow, 10 in the morning. Maya's mind raced. She'd need to find someone to watch Noah. She'd need to figure out what to wear. She'd need to... Miss Reynolds? Yes, I'm available. 10 a.m. is perfect. Thank you so much. Catherine gave her the address and some basic instructions, then ended the call with a polite goodbye. Maya sat staring at her phone in disbelief. An interview. An actual interview for a real job with a real salary. She pulled up the company website and started researching, her exhaustion forgotten in a surge of hope. Carter Enterprises was huge. Real estate, technology investments, venture capital. The CEO was Liam Carter, 41, self-made billionaire, notoriously private. There were only a handful of photos of him online, mostly from business conferences and charity events. In all of them, he looked serious, controlled, almost cold. Maya studied his face, trying to memorize it so she wouldn't be nervous tomorrow. He looked like someone who didn't tolerate mistakes, who expected excellence, who wouldn't have patience for excuses. She'd have to be perfect. This was her chance, maybe her only chance. to get her life back on track. She spent the next 2 hours preparing, researching the company, practicing answers to common interview questions, laying out her only professional outfit. She called her neighbor Mrs. Delgado and begged her to watch Noah for a few hours tomorrow morning. Mrs. Delgado, a grandmother who'd always been kind to Maya, agreed immediately. By the time Maya finally went to bed, it was past midnight. She was exhausted but couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the interview, about what she'd say, about how desperately she needed this to work out. And she thought about the stranger from the grocery store, the one who'd saved her and disappeared. She wished she could tell him about this opportunity, thank him for giving her the strength to keep trying. She had no idea that in a few short hours, she'd discover they were the same person, and that her life was about to change in ways she could never have imagined. If you're already invested in Maya and Liam's story and want to see what happens when they meet again, hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me what you think is going to happen when Maya realizes who her interviewer is, and make sure you're subscribed. Maya woke up at 5:30 the next morning after barely 3 hours of sleep. Noah was still sleeping, a small miracle, giving her time to shower and get ready without rushing. She stood in front of her closet, staring at the single professional outfit she owned, a navy blue dress she'd bought for parent-teacher conferences back when she had a teaching job and a life that made sense. It was slightly outdated now, and she'd lost weight since then, so it hung a bit loose, but it was clean and pressed and would have to do. She dressed carefully, applied minimal makeup to hide the dark circles under her eyes, and pulled her hair back into a neat bun. Looking in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked professional, put together, nothing like the desperate woman who'd cried in a grocery store last night. Noah woke up at 6:30, right on schedule, and Maya fed him, changed him, and spent precious minutes just holding him close, breathing in that sweet baby smell that always calmed her racing thoughts. "Mama has an interview today, sweet boy," she whispered against his soft hair. "This could be it. This could be the thing that changes everything for us. So you be good for Mrs. Delgado, okay? Be your sweet, perfect self." Noah cooed and grabbed her finger, and Maya felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. No crying today. Today she was strong, confident, capable. Today she was the version of herself that deserved this job. At 9:15, she dropped Noah off with Mrs. Delgado, who lived 2 floors down and had been a saving grace more times than Maya could count. The older woman took Noah with a warm smile and waved away Maya's profuse thanks. "You go get that job, mija. We'll be fine here. Noah and I are old friends." Maya took the bus downtown, arriving at the Carter Enterprises building at 9:40. The building was intimidating, all glass and steel, and modern architecture that screamed money and power. She felt small walking through the revolving doors into the marble lobby, completely out of place among the sharply dressed professionals, striding past with purpose and confidence. She gave her name to the security desk, and a guard made a call, then directed her to the executive elevators. 32nd floor. Someone will meet you there. The elevator ride felt eternal. Maya watched the numbers climb, her stomach doing flips. She'd been on dozens of interviews over the past 3 months, but none had felt this important. This wasn't just another job. This was a lifeline, a chance to actually build something stable for Noah. The elevator doors opened onto a reception area that was somehow even more intimidating than the lobby. Sleek furniture, original artwork on the walls, floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic city views. A woman in her mid-30s stood from behind an elegant desk and smiled warmly. "Miss Reynolds, I'm Catherine Chen. Welcome to Carter Enterprises." Maya shook her hand, trying to project confidence she didn't feel. "Thank you so much for this opportunity. Mr. Carter is looking forward to meeting you. Can I get you anything? Water? Coffee?" "I'm fine, thank you." Catherine led her down a hallway to a massive corner office. She knocked once, then opened the door. "Mr. Carter, Miss Reynolds is here. Send her in." Catherine gestured for Maya to enter, then quietly closed the door behind her, leaving Maya alone in the office with the man seated behind an enormous desk. Except it wasn't a stranger. Maya's breath caught in her throat as the man stood and turned to face her. It was him, the stranger from the grocery store. the one who'd paid for her formula and given her cash and disappeared before she could thank him. He was standing here in an expensive suit, watching her with those same intense eyes that had held such pain last night. "You," Maya whispered, her hand flying to her mouth. Liam Carter allowed himself a small smile. "Hello, Maya. Please, sit down." Maya couldn't move. Her mind was spinning, trying to make sense of this. The stranger who'd helped her was Liam Carter, the billionaire CEO, the man who might give her a job, the man who'd already saved her life once. "I don't understand," she managed. This is your company." "It is. Please sit. We have a lot to talk about." Maya's legs felt shaky as she crossed to one of the chairs in front of his desk. But before she could sit, Liam came around the desk and gestured to a seating area by the windows instead, with comfortable chairs and a coffee table. Less formal, more personal. "I know you must have questions," he said as they both sat. "I'll answer them all. But first, I need to be honest with you about why you're here." Maya nodded, unable to form words. "I saw your application come through last night. I recognized your name from the grocery store receipt. I'd glanced at it when I was paying. I had Catherine call you immediately because I wanted to see you again, to make sure you were okay, to see if there was more I could do to help. You gave me this interview because of last night?" Maya's voice was quiet, and she couldn't tell if she felt grateful or humiliated. "I gave you an interview because your resume is impressive, and you're clearly qualified for the position. But yes, seeing your name reminded me that I wanted to find you, that I'd been thinking about you." "Why?" Liam was quiet for a moment, his gaze distant. "Because 3 years ago, I lost my wife and daughter during childbirth. Because I've spent every day since then feeling nothing, caring about nothing, just going through the motions. And then last night, I saw you making an impossible choice with such strength and dignity, and I felt something again. For the first time in 3 years, I felt something." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I'm so sorry. About your wife and daughter. I can't imagine." "Thank you." Liam's voice was rough. "My wife, Sarah, she was a single mother when I met her. I watched her struggle the way you're struggling now. I saw her make those same impossible choices. So when I saw you last night, I saw her, and I couldn't walk away. Is that why you want to hire me? Because I remind you of your wife?" "No." Liam leaned forward, his expression intense. "I want to interview you because you're qualified. I want to potentially hire you because I think you'd be excellent at this job. But I'll admit that your situation makes me want to help you beyond just employment." "I don't want charity," Maya said, her voice firmer now despite the tears on her cheeks. "I don't want to be some project that makes you feel better about your loss. And I don't want to offer charity," Liam replied. "I want to offer you an opportunity, a job that you'll have to earn, perform in, excel at. The salary is $90,000 a year with full benefits, including childcare subsidy. You'll work directly with me, managing my schedule, handling communications, coordinating with various department heads. It's demanding work that requires intelligence, discretion, and the ability to handle high-pressure situations." 90,000. Maya had made 38,000 as a teacher. This was life-changing money. This was the difference between struggling to survive and actually living. "Why me specifically?" she asked. "There must be hundreds of qualified candidates." "There are, but Maya, I've interviewed dozens of assistants over the years. I've hired people with perfect credentials and years of experience. And you know what I've learned? That credentials don't matter as much as character. That someone who's faced real hardship and kept fighting has a kind of strength you can't teach." He paused. "You held your son last night and chose his survival over your own comfort without hesitation. That tells me you understand priorities. You walked those aisles for 40 minutes trying to make impossible math work. That tells me you're resourceful and don't give up easily. You kept your dignity even when you were falling apart. That tells me you can handle pressure with grace. You got all that from watching me in a checkout line?" "I got that from recognizing strength when I see it. So yes, Maya Reynolds, I want to offer you this job, not because I pity you, but because I think you'll be exceptional at it. The question is whether you can separate what happened last night from this professional opportunity." Maya sat back, trying to process everything. This morning she'd woken up terrified and desperate, facing eviction, unable to feed her son. Now she was being offered a job that would change her entire life by a man who'd already saved her once, who was looking at her with an intensity that made her heart race for reasons that had nothing to do with gratitude. "I need this job," she said honestly. "I'm 3 days from being evicted. I have no family support. I'm completely alone with a 6-month-old baby. So yes, I want this position, but I need to know if I take it. Am I going to spend every day wondering if I really earned it, or if you just felt sorry for me?" "You'll earn it every single day," Liam said firmly. "I'm demanding, particular, and I expect excellence. You'll work harder for me than you've ever worked for anyone. I won't cut you slack because of your situation. I won't accept excuses. You'll have to prove yourself constantly." "Good," Maya said, "because I don't want special treatment. I want to earn my place here." "Then the job is yours if you want it. You can start Monday. That gives you the weekend to arrange childcare and get settled." Maya felt tears streaming down her face, but she didn't bother wiping them away. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me, what you've already done for me." "I think I do," Liam said softly. "And Maya, there's one more thing we need to address." "What's that?" "Last night, when I helped you, I felt something I haven't felt in years. A connection, an interest in another person beyond just a business transaction. I'm not saying this to make you uncomfortable or to suggest that the job comes with any expectations, but I need you to know that my interest in you goes beyond professional." Maya's breath caught. "Mr. Carter." "Liam, please call me Liam." "Liam, I don't know what to say to that." "You don't have to say anything right now. You don't owe me anything, professionally or personally. The job is yours based on your qualifications, period. But I wanted to be honest about my feelings so there are no misunderstandings. Whatever happens between us beyond work is completely separate and entirely your choice." Maya looked at this man who'd appeared in her life like an answer to prayers she'd been too exhausted to pray. Wealthy, powerful, still grieving his own losses, and looking at her like she was something precious instead of broken. "I need this job," she said carefully. "I need the stability and the security and the chance to build a life for my son. I can't risk that by complicating things with personal feelings." "I understand completely, but," Maya continued, her voice trembling slightly, "I'd be lying if I said I didn't feel something too. Last night, when you helped me, you saw me when I felt invisible. You treated me with kindness when the world had been so cruel. That means something." "So what do we do?" Liam asked. "We keep it professional, at least for now. I start this job. I prove myself. I build stability for Noah. And maybe, after some time has passed and I'm secure in my position, we can revisit this conversation." Liam nodded slowly. "That's fair and wise." "Okay, Maya Reynolds. Welcome to Carter Enterprises. Catherine will handle all your onboarding paperwork. Do you have any questions about the position?" They spent the next hour going over job details, expectations, schedules. Liam was all business, professional and focused, but every so often Maya would catch him looking at her with something warm in his eyes that had nothing to do with work. When she finally left his office, her head was spinning. Catherine walked her through benefits enrollment, had her fill out tax forms, gave her a building access card, and explained the dress code and office culture. "I have to say," Catherine said as they finished up, "in the 5 years I've worked for Mr. Carter, I've never seen him interview someone personally for this position, or make a hiring decision on the spot. You must have made quite an impression." "I suppose I did," Maya said, thinking about the grocery store, about Liam's pain when he'd looked at Noah, about the crack she'd seen in his carefully controlled facade. By the time Maya left the building, it was almost noon. She felt like she'd lived an entire lifetime in the past 2 hours. She picked up Noah from Mrs. Delgado, hugged him tight, and sat on her apartment floor with him, trying to process everything that had happened. She had a job, a real job with a salary that would let her not just survive but actually live. She could pay rent, buy groceries, take Noah to the doctor when he needed it, maybe even save money for the future. And she'd gotten it from the mysterious stranger who'd saved her in the grocery store, the billionaire with sad eyes who'd seen her at her worst and offered her a chance at something better. Maya looked at the eviction notice on her refrigerator, pulled it down, and threw it in the trash. Then she opened her laptop and sent an email to her landlord, letting him know she had a new job and would have the rent money by the end of the week. For the first time in months, the future didn't feel like a cliff she was about to fall off. It felt like a possibility. That weekend, Maya prepared for her new life with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. She used some of the $100 Liam had given her to buy 2 professional outfits from a thrift store. She arranged for a daycare near the Carter Enterprises building that offered the subsidized rate for company employees. She studied the company website, memorized department heads' names, reviewed Liam's calendar that Catherine had sent her access to. She also spent hours thinking about Liam himself, about the grief in his voice when he'd talked about his wife and daughter, about the way he'd looked at Noah with such longing and pain, about his admission that he felt something for her. Maya tried to convince herself it was just gratitude she felt, just the natural response to someone who'd helped her when she'd needed it most. But late at night, when Noah was sleeping and she was alone with her thoughts, she had to admit it was more than that. There was something about Liam Carter that drew her. Not his wealth, though she'd be lying if she said the security he represented didn't appeal to her, but something deeper, the way he'd treated her with dignity even when she was falling apart. The way he'd been honest about his grief instead of hiding behind his power. The way he'd given her a job while acknowledging that he wanted more, but leaving the choice completely in her hands. She'd spent 3 years with Derek, and he'd never once made her feel the way Liam had in 2 brief encounters. Seen, valued, worth something beyond what she could provide. But Maya was practical above all else. She had a son to think about. She couldn't risk the stability this job offered by jumping into something complicated with her boss. She needed to be smart, careful, professional, even if part of her desperately wanted to be reckless instead. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Maya, dressed in one of her thrift store finds, a gray pencil skirt and white blouse that looked professional, if not expensive. She dropped Noah at his new daycare, her heart breaking a little at leaving him with strangers, even though the facility was clean and well-staffed, and the teachers seemed kind. "Mama will be back at 5:30, she whispered, kissing his forehead. "You be good, sweet boy. This is for us. This is how we build our future." She arrived at Carter Enterprises at 8:30, 30 minutes before her official start time. Catherine met her in the lobby and took her up to the executive floor, showing her to a desk just outside Liam's office. "You'll be Mr. Carter's first point of contact," Catherine explained. "All calls go through you. All meetings get scheduled through you. All correspondence gets reviewed by you first. You're essentially the gatekeeper. He's in back-to-back meetings all morning, but he wanted me to tell you to interrupt him if you have any questions." "I'm sure I'll be fine," Maya said, sitting at her new desk and trying to quiet her racing heart. The morning was a blur of activity. Phone calls to route, emails to sort, meeting requests to evaluate and schedule. Maya fell into the rhythm of it quickly, her teaching experience translating well to managing multiple demands and staying organized under pressure. She saw Liam only briefly that morning, when he came out between meetings to grab a file from his office. He paused at her desk. "How's your first day going?" "Good so far. Overwhelming but manageable. That's the nature of this job. You're doing well, Maya. I've been watching how you handle the calls. You're professional and efficient." "Thank you." Their eyes met for a moment, and Maya saw something flicker in his expression. Interest, warmth, want. Then it was gone, replaced by professional distance as someone approached down the hallway. "Let me know if you need anything," Liam said, and disappeared into his office. The days turned into weeks. Maya settled into her role, learning the rhythms of Liam's schedule, understanding his preferences and expectations. He'd been right about being demanding. He expected her to anticipate needs before he voiced them, to handle problems independently, to manage his calendar with the precision of a military operation. But he was also fair. When she made mistakes, which she inevitably did in those first weeks, he corrected her without condescension. When she did something well, he acknowledged it. He never made her feel incompetent or talked down to her despite the huge gap in their backgrounds. And slowly, carefully, they built something beyond a professional relationship. It started with small conversations. Liam asking about Noah, Maya asking about his day. Comments about coffee preferences and weekend plans. Nothing inappropriate or unprofessional, but a gradual building of comfort and familiarity. Maya learned things about him, that he came to the office at 6 every morning and rarely left before 7 at night, that he drank his coffee black and ate lunch at his desk while working, that he was brilliant at business but terrible at remembering to return personal calls, that underneath the controlled exterior was someone deeply lonely. Liam learned about her too, that she was fiercely protective of Noah and talked about him constantly, that she'd loved teaching and missed it sometimes, that she was smarter than her resume suggested, with insights into people and situations that caught him off guard, that she hummed while she worked and always had fresh flowers on her desk, even though they were expensive. 6 weeks into the job, Maya was working late, finishing up a presentation Liam needed for a morning meeting. It was past 7, and most of the office had cleared out. She was so focused on her screen that she didn't hear Liam approach until he spoke. "You should go home. Noah needs his mother." Maya looked up. "I'm almost done. Just need to finish formatting these slides." "I can handle that. Go be with your son." "Liam, it's my job. And you've done your job excellently for 6 weeks straight. Go home, Maya. That's an order from your boss." Maya saved her work and started gathering her things. As she stood, she swayed slightly, grabbing the desk for balance. Liam was at her side immediately. "When did you last eat?" "I had breakfast." "Maya, it's 7:30 at night." "I got busy. I forgot." Liam's expression hardened. This is exactly what Sarah used to do. Work herself into exhaustion, skip meals, run on fumes until she collapsed. "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're exhausted and malnourished and trying to prove something that doesn't need proving." His voice softened. "You've already proven yourself, Maya. You're excellent at this job, but you can't take care of Noah if you don't take care of yourself." Maya felt tears threaten. She was so tired of being strong, of holding everything together, of never letting herself break. "I just want to do well," she whispered. "I need this job so badly, and I'm terrified of losing it." "You're not going to lose it, but you are going to eat dinner. Come on. Liam, I need to pick up Noah. Call the daycare. Tell them you're running late. I'll cover any overtime fees." "I can't let you." "Maya." Liam's voice was firm but gentle. "Let me help. Please. Just this once. Let someone take care of you." Something in his voice, the vulnerability beneath the command, made Maya's resistance crumble. She called the daycare, arranged for late pickup, and followed Liam to a small restaurant 2 blocks from the office. It wasn't fancy, just a quiet Italian place with checkered tablecloths and the smell of garlic bread filling the air. They sat in a corner booth, and Liam ordered for both of them while Maya tried to remember the last time someone had taken care of her like this. "Tell me about Noah," Liam said after their food arrived. "How's he adjusting to daycare?" Maya's face lit up the way it always did when she talked about her son. "He loves it. There's this teacher, Miss Jennifer, who he's completely attached to, and he started trying to crawl. He's not quite there yet, but he's so determined. He gets that from his mother. Maybe. Or maybe he's just stubborn." They ate and talked, and Maya felt herself relaxing for the first time in weeks. With Liam, she didn't have to be the perfect employee or the struggling single mother. She could just be Maya. "Can I ask you something personal?" Liam said as they finished eating. "Okay. Noah's father. Is he in the picture at all?" Maya's expression closed off slightly. "No. He left when I was 2 months pregnant. I haven't heard from him since. His loss. That's what everyone says. But sometimes I wonder if he was right. If I'm too much work, too much responsibility, not worth the effort." Liam reached across the table and took her hand. "Maya, look at me." She did. "You are worth every effort. You're worth more than he could ever appreciate. The fact that he left says everything about his failures and nothing about your value." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "How do you do that?" "Do what?" "Say exactly what I need to hear. Because I see you, really see you, and what I see is remarkable." They sat there, hands joined across the table, something shifting between them. The professional distance they'd maintained for 6 weeks was crumbling, replaced by something deeper, more dangerous, more real. Liam pulled his hand back first, breaking the moment. We should get you to Noah. Right. Yes. Of course. He drove her to the daycare, waited while she collected a sleepy Noah, then drove them both home to her apartment. At her door, with Noah dozing in her arms, Maya turned to him. Thank you. For dinner, for the ride, for everything. Any time, Liam said, and she could see him fighting the urge to reach out, to touch her, to cross the line they'd both been so carefully maintaining. Liam, Maya said softly, I know I said we should keep things professional, and we should, but I want you to know that it's getting harder, keeping that distance. I know. For me too. So what do? We keep being careful, because you're right, you need this job, and I won't do anything to jeopardize that. But Maya, when the time is right, when you're secure enough that there's no power imbalance between us, I want you to know that I'm going to ask you on a real date. Not dinner between boss and employee. A real date between two people who care about each other. I'll say yes, Maya whispered. When you ask, I'll say yes. Liam smiled, and it transformed his face. Then I'll wait, however long it takes. He left, and Maya stood in her doorway holding her sleeping son, feeling like her life was balanced on a knife's edge. Everything she'd built over the past 6 weeks could come crashing down if she wasn't careful. But for the first time since Derek left, she wanted to take the risk. Because Liam Carter wasn't just her boss, he was becoming something more, something important, something that felt a lot like hope. If you're feeling everything Maya and Liam are going through, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think should happen next. Should they take the risk or keep their distance? And make sure you're subscribed. 3 months into Maya's job at Carter Enterprises, something shifted. It was subtle at first, the kind of change that happened so gradually you didn't notice until you looked back and realized everything was different. Maya had found her rhythm. She knew Liam's schedule better than he did, could anticipate his needs before he voiced them, handled crises with calm efficiency that impressed everyone who worked with her. She'd earned the respect of the other executives, proved herself not as the boss's charity case, but as someone genuinely competent and invaluable. The whispers that had started when she was hired, the speculation about why a former teacher with an employment gap had gotten such a prestigious position, had mostly faded. Maya had let her work speak for itself, and it spoke volumes. She'd also achieved a stability she'd never thought possible. The apartment was no longer a constant source of anxiety. She could afford groceries without counting every penny. Noah had everything he needed, and some things he simply wanted. She'd even started saving money, a concept that had seemed like fantasy just months ago. But the thing that had changed most was the careful distance she and Liam had been maintaining. It was eroding, worn down by daily proximity and genuine connection, and the simple fact that fighting what they felt was becoming exhausting. It happened in small moments. Liam's hand on her shoulder when he thanked her for handling a difficult situation. Maya laughing at something he said and catching him staring at her with such open warmth that her breath caught. The way they'd both started staying late at the office, finding excuses to be alone together even if they were just working in comfortable silence. Catherine had noticed. "You two are dancing around each other," she'd said one afternoon when Liam was in a meeting. "It's obvious to everyone." "Catherine, we're being professional," Maya had protested. "You're being careful. There's a difference." And Maya, for what it's worth, I've worked for Liam for 5 years. I've never seen him like this. Happy, present, alive. That's you. You did that. The comments stayed with Maya. That night, lying in bed after putting Noah down, she thought about what she really wanted. Security, yes. Stability, absolutely. But also connection, love, the chance to build something real with someone who saw her completely and chose her anyway. She thought about Liam, about his grief he was learning to carry instead of hide from, about the way he was with Noah the few times he'd seen them together, gentle and patient and full of longing for the family he'd lost, about how he'd saved her twice now, first in a grocery store and then with a job, and how she thought maybe she'd been saving him too. The next morning, Maya made a decision. She got to the office early, before even Liam arrived, and sat at her desk trying to find the courage to do what she was about to do. When she heard the elevator and saw him walking down the hall at 6:15, coffee in hand, she stood up. "Liam, can we talk before the day gets started?" He looked surprised but nodded, gesturing her into his office. "Is everything okay?" Maya closed the door behind them and took a breath. "I've been thinking about what you said, about waiting until the time was right to ask me on a real date." Liam set down his coffee, his full attention on her. "And I think the time is right. I've proven myself here. I've built stability for Noah. I'm secure in my position, and more importantly, I'm secure in knowing that I earned it. So when you ask me, Liam, I'm ready to say yes." Something blazed in Liam's eyes. He crossed the office in 3 long strides and stopped just in front of her, close enough that she could see the flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could feel the warmth radiating from him. "Maya Reynolds," he said, his voice rough with emotion, "would you have dinner with me? Not as my assistant, not as someone I helped once, but as a woman I've been falling for since the moment I saw you choose your son's survival over your own." "Yes," Maya whispered. "Absolutely yes." Liam's hand came up to cup her face, his thumb brushing across her cheekbone. "I'm going to kiss you now, if that's okay. Please." The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, as if they were both afraid the other might disappear. Then Maya's hands fisted in his shirt, and Liam's arm wrapped around her waist, and the kiss deepened into something that felt like coming home after a long journey. When they finally pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard, and Liam was smiling in a way Maya had never seen before. Completely open, genuinely happy, no shadows. "I've wanted to do that for so long," he admitted. "Me too. We're going to have to be careful about this at work. I don't want anyone to think—" "I know, we'll be professional here. But Liam, outside of this office, I want to see where this goes. I want to try." "So do I. God, Maya, you have no idea how much." They spent another few minutes just holding each other, both of them marveling at how right it felt, before the reality of the workday ahead forced them apart. "Tonight," Liam said, "let me take you to dinner, a real date. I'll need to arrange childcare for Noah. Bring him." "Maya, I don't want to date just you. I want to be part of both your lives. If you'll let me." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. "You want to bring my 6-month-old baby on our first date? I want to start as I mean to continue, which means including Noah in everything. He's part of you. I want to know him, spend time with him, be someone he can count on." "Liam, that's more than I ever expected." "Then your expectations have been too low. Say yes, Maya, to dinner with both of you." "Yes, to all of it, yes." That evening, Liam picked them up at 6. He'd chosen a family-friendly restaurant with high chairs and a children's menu, nothing too fancy or formal. Noah was on his best behavior, babbling and charming their server, reaching for Liam with chubby hands that had no concept of the walls people usually built. Maya watched Liam interact with her son, saw the way his face softened when Noah grabbed his finger, heard the genuine laughter when Noah spit up on his expensive shirt. This wasn't a man tolerating a child to get to the mother. This was someone who genuinely enjoyed children, who saw Noah as a person worth knowing. "You're good with him," Maya observed. "He's easy to be good with. He's wonderful, Maya. You've raised an incredible little human. It's been just us for so long. I'm not used to sharing him." "You don't have to share him. I'm asking to be included, not to replace you or take over. You're his mother. Nothing changes that." After dinner, Liam drove them back to Maya's apartment. At her door, with Noah drowsy in her arms, Liam kissed her forehead. "Best first date I've ever had. Even with the baby food in your hair?" "Especially with the baby food in my hair. Can I see you both this weekend? Maybe take Noah to the park? You want to spend your Saturday at a park with a 7-month-old. Maya, I want to spend every Saturday with you and Noah, doing whatever makes you both happy. Parks, museums, grocery shopping. I don't care. I just want to be with you." That weekend set the pattern. Liam integrated himself into their lives carefully, respectfully, never pushing but always present. He showed up for the mundane moments, not just the special ones. He was there when Noah was cranky and teething. He learned how to warm bottles and change diapers. He read board books with silly voices, and didn't complain when Noah drooled on his designer jeans. At work, they maintained professional distance. Maya was still his assistant, still excellent at her job, and they were scrupulous about keeping business separate from personal. But after hours, they were building something real. Maya's friends were skeptical at first. A billionaire dating his assistant? That never ends well, her friend Shanice warned. But then Shanice met Liam, saw him with Noah, watched the way he looked at Maya like she'd hung the moon. Okay, I take it back. That man is in love with you, like head over heels, would burn the world down for you in love. It's still new, Maya protested, but her heart soared at the words. Maybe, but some things you just know. The first real test came 2 months into their relationship. Maya's ex, Derek, reappeared. She got a call at work on a Tuesday afternoon, an unknown number she almost didn't answer. Maya? It's Derek. Her blood went cold. How did you get this number? I've been trying to reach you. Your old number is disconnected. That's because I didn't want you to reach me. What do you want, Derek? I heard you had the baby, a son. His name is Noah, and yes, I had him, 9 months ago, alone, because you disappeared. I know, and I'm sorry about that. I wasn't ready then, but I am now. I want to meet him. I want to be part of his life. Maya felt panic rising in her chest. No, absolutely not. You gave up that right when you abandoned us. I'm his father, Maya. Legally, I have rights. You haven't paid a dime of child support. You haven't made any attempt to contact us until now. You have no rights. We'll see what a lawyer says about that. I'll be in touch. He hung up, and Maya sat at her desk shaking. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not when she'd finally built something stable and good. Liam emerged from his office for a file and immediately noticed her distress. What's wrong? My ex, he called. He wants to meet Noah. He's talking about lawyers and custody rights. Liam's expression hardened. Come into my office. Once the door was closed, Liam pulled her into his arms. Tell me everything. Maya explained about Derek, about how he'd left, about the complete absence of support or contact for 9 months, about her terror that he might actually have some legal claim to Noah, despite abandoning them. He has no claim, Liam said firmly. Trust me, I'm going to have our legal team look into this, but a father who abandons a child and provides no support has virtually no custody rights. I can't afford a legal battle, Liam. I've only just started being able to save. You're not paying for this. I am. No, I can't let you. Maya, listen to me. Liam took her face in his hands. I love you. I'm in love with you. I love Noah. You two are my family now, and I protect my family. Let me handle this. Please. Maya's breath caught. You love me? I love you. I've been falling in love with you since that grocery store, and I'm done pretending otherwise. You and Noah are everything to me. So let me help you fight this. I love you too, Maya whispered, tears streaming down her face. God, Liam, I love you so much. They kissed, desperate and fierce, clinging to each other like lifelines. When they finally pulled apart, Liam called down to legal. Within an hour, Maya was meeting with Carter Enterprises' top family law attorney. The news was good. Derek had abandoned his parental responsibilities, paid no support, made no contact. His legal standing was weak at best. We'll send him a letter outlining the reality of his situation, the attorney explained. Most likely, once he realizes he has no real claim and that pursuing this will cost him money, he'll disappear again. And that's exactly what happened. Derek received the letter, made one more phone call threatening legal action, then vanished when he realized Maya had resources he couldn't match. The crisis brought Maya and Liam closer. He'd stepped up without hesitation, protected Noah like he was his own, proven that his commitment wasn't just words. That weekend, as they walked through the park with Noah in a stroller, Liam brought up something that had been on his mind. I've been thinking about the future, about us. Okay, Maya said, her heart racing. I know it's only been a few months. I know some people would say we're moving too fast. But Maya, I'm 41 years old. I've already lost one family. I don't want to waste time being cautious when I know what I want. He stopped walking and turned to face her. I want you to move in with me. You and Noah both. I want us to be a real family." Maya's eyes widened. "Liam, that's huge." "I know. And if you're not ready, I understand. But I need you to know that I'm ready. I'm all in. I want to wake up with you every morning. I want to be there for Noah's first steps and first words. I want to build a life with you, not someday in the future, but now." Maya thought about her small apartment, about the life she'd built there alone. Then she thought about Liam's penthouse, about the space and security and the family they could become. "Yes," she said, "let's do it. Let's be a family." The move happened over the next month. Liam insisted on keeping it gradual, making sure Noah adjusted to the new space, giving Maya time to feel comfortable in what was now their home together. The penthouse transformed with their presence. Noah's nursery was designed with care, filled with soft colors and age-appropriate toys. Maya's books appeared on shelves next to Liam's business volumes. Her photos decorated walls that had been bare for years. Liam came alive in ways he hadn't since Sarah died. He'd leave work at 5 to make it home for Noah's bedtime. He'd cook breakfast on weekends, pancakes in silly shapes that made Maya laugh. He'd hold her at night and whisper about the future they were building. 3 months after they moved in together, Liam came home early from work to find Maya on the floor with Noah, who was now almost a year old and pulling himself up on furniture, so close to walking. Liam sat down beside them, and Noah immediately crawled over, using Liam's leg to pull himself to standing. He looked up at Liam with a huge grin, said "Dada" clear as day, and took 2 wobbling steps before falling into Liam's arms. Maya gasped. "Did he just—" "He called me Dada," Liam said, his voice thick with emotion. "Maya, he called me Dada. Is that okay? I know you're not technically his father." Liam looked at her with tears in his eyes. "I want to be. Legally, officially, I want to adopt Noah. Make him mine in every way. If you'll let me." Maya was crying now too. "You want to adopt my son?" "I want to adopt our son, because that's what he is to me, Maya. Ours. He's already in my heart. I just want to make it legal." "Yes. God, yes." "Liam, there's nothing I want more." The adoption process took 6 months. Background checks, home studies, interviews, paperwork. Through it all, Liam was patient and determined. He stood before a judge and explained that Noah had been his son in every way that mattered since the day he'd met him. That biology didn't make a father showing up, did. The day the adoption was finalized, they had a small celebration at home. Just the 3 of them, plus Catherine, who'd become like family. Liam held the official documents that declared him Noah's legal father and cried happy tears. "I never thought I'd get this again," he admitted to Maya that night after Noah was asleep. "A family, a son, someone to build a future with." "You gave me a future when I had none," Maya said. "You saved us, Liam, multiple times." "No, sweetheart, we saved each other." 6 months after the adoption, on a quiet Sunday morning, Liam made breakfast while Maya played with Noah in the living room. He brought out pancakes arranged in a specific pattern on the plate, and it took Maya a moment to realize they spelled out, "Marry me." She looked up to find Liam on one knee, a ring box in his hand. "Maya, you walked into my life when I was convinced I'd never feel anything again. You and Noah brought me back to life. You gave me hope and purpose, and a reason to come home every night. I want to spend the rest of my life loving you, raising Noah together, building a family that honors everything we've both survived to get here." He opened the box, revealing a simple, elegant diamond ring. "Will you marry me?" Maya was crying too hard to speak, so she just nodded, pulling him up and kissing him while Noah clapped his hands and giggled at his parents. "Yes," she finally managed. "Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes." They were married 3 months later in a small ceremony in Liam's penthouse, with Noah as ring bearer, stumbling down the makeshift aisle in a tiny suit that made everyone cry. Maya's mother flew in from across the country, finally healthy enough to travel. Catherine was maid of honor. A handful of close friends and colleagues witnessed the vows. Maya wore a simple white dress and looked at Liam like he'd hung the moon. Liam wore a traditional tuxedo and couldn't stop crying through his vows. "Maya, you taught me that it's okay to feel again. That love doesn't replace what we've lost. It builds something new alongside it. You've given me a family I never thought I'd have. You've made me a father again. You've made me whole. I promise to love you and Noah with everything I have, for all the days I'm given." Maya's vows were equally emotional. "Liam, you saw me at my absolute lowest point, and you didn't look away. You gave me hope when I had none. You gave my son a father who chose him, who loves him, who shows up every single day. You've given us a life I didn't dare dream of. I promise to love you through grief and joy, through easy days and hard ones. I promise to remind you always that you deserve this happiness, that we all do." When they were pronounced husband and wife, Noah, sitting in Catherine's lap, yelled, "Mama, Dada," and everyone laughed through their tears. The reception was held at the same family restaurant where they'd had their first date with Noah. The same server who'd witnessed their tentative beginning now watched them celebrate their official start. During their first dance, Liam pulled Maya close and whispered, "Thank you for taking a chance on me. Thank you for being worth the chance." "I want more children," Liam said suddenly. "With you, if you want that too." Maya pulled back to look at him. "You want to have a baby? With me? I want everything with you. More children, growing old together, watching Noah grow up, building a legacy that's about love, not money. All of it." "Yes," Maya said, kissing him. "To all of it, yes." 18 months after their wedding, Maya gave birth to a daughter they named Sarah Hope. The name honored Liam's late wife and the hope that had brought them together. Liam was in the delivery room, holding Maya's hand, crying as their daughter entered the world healthy and screaming. "She's perfect," he breathed, cradling the tiny infant with practiced ease. "Maya, she's absolutely perfect." Noah, now almost 3, met his baby sister with wide-eyed wonder. "My baby?" he asked, touching her tiny hand. "Our baby," Liam corrected. "You're a big brother now, Noah. That's an important job." "I protect her," Noah declared seriously. "Like you protect me and Mama." Liam pulled his son into his free arm, holding both his children, and looked at Maya with such love that she started crying all over again. 2 years after Sarah's birth, Carter Enterprises launched a new initiative, the Maya Carter Foundation for Single Parents, funded by Liam, but run by Maya, who'd stepped back from being his assistant to pursue this passion project. The foundation provided exactly what Maya had needed during her darkest days: childcare assistance, job training, housing support, emergency funds for groceries and formula. It helped hundreds of single parents get back on their feet, breaking cycles of poverty, one family at a time. At the foundation's launch event, Maya stood at the podium with Liam and their children beside her. 5 years ago, I was standing in a grocery store, $8 short of being able to feed my son. I was 3 days from eviction. I was completely alone and convinced I'd failed at everything. Then a stranger appeared and changed my life. She looked at Liam. He didn't just pay for my groceries. He saw me when I felt invisible. He gave me a job when I was unemployable. He loved my son when no one else wanted us. He built a family with me when I thought I'd always be alone. And now, together, we're going to do for others what he did for me. We're going to see people who feel invisible. We're going to give them chances when everyone else has given up on them. The audience applauded, but Maya's favorite moment came later, when a young mother approached her, tears in her eyes. "I'm 3 months into the program," the woman said. "I got a job, found housing, and for the first time in 2 years, I was able to buy my daughter a birthday present. A real present, not something from a donation box. Because of you, because of this foundation, we're going to make it." Maya hugged her tight. "You're going to more than make it. You're going to thrive. I know because I've been exactly where you are." That evening, back at home with Liam and the kids, Maya reflected on the impossible journey that had brought her here. From that grocery store to this moment, from desperate single mother to wife, mother of 2, foundation director. "What are you thinking about?" Liam asked, finding her standing at the window, watching the city lights. "Just how far we've come, how different everything is. Do you miss it sometimes? The simplicity?" "No," Maya said honestly. "I don't miss struggling. I don't miss being scared all the time. I don't miss feeling alone." She turned to face him. "But I'm grateful for it, because if I hadn't gone through all of that, I wouldn't have been in that grocery store that night. I wouldn't have met you. We wouldn't have this family, this life, this foundation. So no, I don't miss the struggle, but I'm grateful for where it led me." Liam pulled her close. "I think about that night a lot, about how close I came to just walking past you. I almost did, you know. I almost minded my own business and went home to my empty apartment. What made you stop? Honestly, I saw you hold Noah, and I remembered Sarah holding Emma for those 4 hours we had her. I remembered what it felt like to love someone that much, and I couldn't walk away from that. From you. I'm glad you didn't." "Me too. Best decision I ever made." They stood there holding each other, and from the nursery down the hall, they heard Sarah starting to fuss. Noah's little voice followed. "It's okay, baby Sarah. Big brother's here." Maya and Liam smiled at each other. "Our son is amazing," Maya said. "Our son," Liam agreed. "I love that I get to say that." Years passed. Noah grew into a thoughtful, kind young man who wanted to be a doctor. Sarah was spirited and creative, with her mother's compassion and her father's determination. The foundation expanded to 12 cities, helping thousands of families. On the 10th anniversary of the night they met, Liam took Maya back to that grocery store. It had been renovated since then, updated and modernized, but it was still the same store. They stood in the checkout lane where it had all begun. 10 years ago, I was standing right here, $8 short and completely broken, Maya said. I was about to return my son's formula. I thought my life was over, and I was standing right there, Liam said, pointing to the spot behind her, completely dead inside, going through the motions, convinced I'd never feel anything real again. And then you helped me, and then you saved me right back. They held hands, two people who'd found each other at their lowest points and built something beautiful from the wreckage. You know what I think about sometimes? Maya asked. What? All the people who walked past you that morning when you were hurt in the alley, all the people who could have helped but didn't, and I wonder if they ever think about it. If they ever wonder what happened to you. Probably not, Liam said. Most people don't. But Maya, you stopped. Both times. When I was hurt and when you saw me struggling. You saw people who needed help and you helped them. That's who you are. Now that we help each other now. That's what family does. That's what love does, Liam corrected. They left the store and drove to their favorite family restaurant, where Noah and Sarah were waiting with a surprise anniversary dinner they'd planned themselves. The table was decorated with handmade cards and flowers Sarah had picked. Noah had ordered his parents' favorite meals and gotten a cake that said, 10 years of love. As they sat together, four people who'd become a family through loss and kindness and impossible odds, Maya looked around the table and felt overwhelming gratitude. Her son, who'd started life with almost nothing, now had everything he needed, and more importantly, two parents who adored him. Her daughter, who existed because two broken people had been brave enough to build something new. Her husband, who'd seen her at her worst and loved her anyway. And herself, no longer the desperate woman returning formula, but someone who'd learned that accepting help wasn't weakness, that love could come from unexpected places, that sometimes the worst moments of your life were just doorways to the best ones. What are you grateful for, Mama? Sarah asked. It was a dinner-time tradition in their family. I'm grateful for all of you, Maya said, for second chances, for strangers who become family, for love that saves us when we need it most. I'm grateful for Mama saving Daddy, Noah said, because if she didn't, we wouldn't be a family. And I'm grateful Daddy saved Mama, Sarah added, because she saved him back. Liam raised his glass of water, emotion thick in his voice. I'm grateful for a woman who taught me that it's okay to feel again. That love doesn't replace what we've lost. It builds something new. That family isn't just about biology. It's about showing up every single day and choosing each other. They clinked glasses, and Maya felt tears slide down her cheeks. Happy tears this time. Grateful tears. That night, after the kids were asleep, Maya and Liam sat on their balcony overlooking the city. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't stopped that night? Maya asked. If I just walked past you like everyone else? I try not to, Liam admitted, because the thought of not having you and the kids in my life is unbearable. Me too. The thought of still being alone, still struggling, never knowing what this feels like. But you did stop. And here we are. Here we are, Maya echoed. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights twinkle below them. Two people who'd saved each other in a grocery store and built a love story that proved kindness was never wasted. Because sometimes the smallest acts of compassion create the biggest miracles. Sometimes the person you save is actually saving you. Sometimes $8 and a can of formula are all that stand between despair and destiny. And sometimes love arrives not when you're looking for it, but when you're too broken to expect it from the last person you'd imagine, in a moment so ordinary you almost miss the miracle. Maya and Liam didn't miss it. They grabbed hold of that moment and built a lifetime from it. A family, a foundation, a legacy of love that would ripple out far beyond them, touching lives they'd never meet, proving over and over that kindness matters. That seeing people when they feel invisible changes everything. That love, real love, is worth every risk. And that sometimes the best things in life come from the worst moments, if you're just brave enough to stay open to the possibility. If Maya and Liam's story touched your heart, I need you to do something for me right now. Share this video with someone who needs to believe that their worst moment might be the doorway to their best life. Hit that like button if you believe kindness is never wasted and love can heal even the deepest wounds. Drop a comment and tell me about a time someone's compassion changed your life, or a time you helped someone and it changed yours. I want to hear your stories because they matter. And if you're new to this channel, welcome to a family that believes in second chances, in the power of small acts of kindness, and in love that transforms broken people into beautiful families. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more stories that prove good still exists, that hope is real, and that sometimes the person you save ends up saving you right back. Thank you for watching Maya and Liam's journey from that grocery store to forever. Thank you for believing that one moment of compassion can rewrite two destinies. Remember, you never know when your kindness might save someone's entire world. You never know when letting someone help you might save theirs. Be the person who stops. Be the person who sees. Be the person who helps, because that's how miracles happen. One grocery store moment, one act of courage, one choice to care when everyone else walks by. Your moment to be someone's miracle might be today. Don't miss it. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep your hearts open. Keep seeing people when the world makes them invisible. And remember that you are never too broken to build something beautiful. You are never too lost to be found. And you are never too alone to deserve love. $8 changed everything for Maya and Liam. Imagine what your compassion could do for someone today.